What's up everyone, welcome back to Thinking Cap, and in this one it's the Game Week 5 preview where I bring you the latest injury updates, Game Week 5 goal and clean sheet projections, as well as what you should be doing with your FPL Premium players. Should you buy Salah, sell Isak, hold Haaland, all that jazz and much more. Thinking Cap activated. As always, we're going to begin with the injury news. All three Man United centre backs were cleared by Ten Hag early this week, and apart from Malacia, Lindelof and Luke Shaw, United don't have any other notable absentees in the defence for that Palace game. Luke Shaw's got a small chance to be in the squad for Palace, but I highly doubt he will be rushed back. The biggest injury news we've received is about Brentford striker Wissa, who suffered a nasty ankle injury against City last game week. We're wishing him a very speedy recovery here at Thinking Cap. Thomas Frank said he'll be out for a couple months, which means Kevin Schade or Brian Mbeumo will play as the striker for Brentford. Schade, Mbeumo and Carvalho, who they bought from Liverpool, they will be the main attackers, enjoying Wissa's XG share. There's no update on Joao Pedro yet, but Brighton play in the Carabao Cup today on Wednesday. I do suspect he will be available for Forest this weekend, as Hertzler said it was a small issue. Mykolenko was reported ill, along with Calvert-Lewin and Garner. Look, I had a little research dig on Twitter, and the rumors are that Dyche is basically just telling porkies. He really just wants them fresh for the big clash against Leicester this Saturday, and Everton, they're winless from 4, sitting bottom of the table right now, so they really need to win that game. And to me, it feels like a Dyche Bowl game. It's their first game against a promoted team this season, and I suspect he could surprise us all with a near full strength lineup. Another week training for Branthwaite will do him good. Let's see if he's available for Game Week 5, because that's going to be a big factor. Aït-Nouri is a doubt for Game Week 5. Gary O'Neill said it was a reoccurrence of an ankle issue that's been troubling him recently. I've got his chances of a start at 50%, guys. O'Neill followed up on Aït-Nouri with more interesting info. He said that Totti and Mosquera are dealing with cramp issues and little niggles, and he also said that Dawson, their other centre back, is dealing with an injury problem right now as well. They've got Villa away this weekend, and I do think Villa have rotated really well against young boys. Watkins off in the 65th minute, Bogard off early, and Bailey back in the squad. It's safe to say that Aston Villa do have the upper hand for squad fitness ahead of Game Week 5. We've received also no clarity on West Ham Emerson's injury, but I've put his chances of a Game Week 5 start quite low at 35%. Chelsea versus West Ham, it's the early kickoff on Saturday, and the knock was in Emerson's knee region. I don't like his chances of recovering fully for Chelsea, and if he doesn't, this does mean Wan-Bissaka left back and Koufal right back. As a United fan, I can tell you Wan-Bissaka has a mistake or two in him at left back, especially against Palmer and Madueke, who are very direct. They like to overload the opposing the opposing left back by creating 2v1 situations, even 3v1 situations, if a proper Chelsea right back is fit to start. And speaking about the Chelsea right backs, Reece James is confirmed out for Game Week 5. He's still dealing with the hamstring injury. He's not even back with the ball yet. He's still running. Malo Gusto, he's been on the training pitch with the boots, with the balls, but he's away from the first team. He's in a personalized fitness program, indicating that he's probably going to be not ready for Game Week 5. But if he is available, the return potential for Palmer and Madueke increases substantially. Those are the major updates that I have caught. I wouldn't recommend making early moves this week for two main reasons, and one, it's because prices, they're not really moving that much at the moment. There's no reason to be making early moves, and two is that Thursday and Friday there's going to be press conferences, and those are going to give us a lot of answers to our questions. There's going to be players who we think are fit, and they're going to get declared out for Game Week 5. I already know it. This happens most weeks in FPL, so I would recommend waiting till Thursday and Friday to make your moves. And we're going to move on now. Before we do that, I make sure to subscribe to Thinking Cap. We're at 389 subs right now, and I know we can hit 400 before the Game Week 5 deadline, so click that subscribe button. And now, the Game Week 5 projections. I've got Rob T FPL's projection chart in front of me, which is something that he does every week. Go check out his Twitter account if you're on Twitter, because he posts some actually really useful stuff. All of his data is based off SpreadX, bookies, odds, bookmaker odds. Starting with projected goals for Game Week 5, Liverpool are the top by far with 2.7. I wouldn't be moving out any Liverpool attackers, and I wouldn't be moving out any Liverpool defenders, considering they do have a 40% clean sheet odd right now. And every Liverpool defender returned against AC Milan in the UCL. Trent assist, Van Dijk goal, Konate goal, and Tsimikas assist. Spurs are second top for projected goals. This looks very promising for Solanke and Heung-min Son. Behind Liverpool's 40% clean sheet odds, we have Villa, Man City, and Brighton all estimated 34%. Chelsea are the best attack to own away from home according to Game Week 5 projections. Now, most teams are projected to score 1 goal. Only Bournemouth right now, their current projections have them under 1 goal, and this also suggests that you should be making moves in attacking spots rather than defenders, as the bookmakers aren't really seeing many clean sheets this game week. I don't want investment in that Everton-Leicester game. If you look at the projected stats, it's really close between the two, and my gut is just telling me that this could be a cheeky 1-0 Dyche Ball win, but also that game I just think it's really tough to gauge, so I'd be cautious being super hot on a Jamie Vardy this week. Man City are projected 1.75 goals versus Arsenal, who are only projected 1.08. City play in the UCL today, which is a Wednesday. That's going to be a must-watch game. You have to see what happens there. If there's an injury, the picture changes a lot on that game. Arsenal play Thursday, and their game's in Italy, whereas City's playing at home. The travel and 1 day less of recovery for Arsenal. Let's see how much impact that makes on this massive match, because if that's something that's going to be a big factor, just 1 day of recovery and the travel, then that's going to be a trend that we're going to be able to see in the coming weeks when the fixture schedule is really busy. So let's see how much of an advantage it really is. Southampton projections, they look a little bit inflated, by the way. I do back Ipswich in that game, to be honest. Like, the margins are pretty tight. 1.6 projected goals for the Saints, 1.33 for Ipswich Town. Barely anything really in it. I'm actually just more tempted to start Harwood Bellis now, because seeing these projections, I think I'm backing Ipswich to score, but there is a slight potential that I could just be like a 0-0, or maybe Southampton gets something. Who knows, right? Maybe I will start Harwood Bellis over Armstrong, because Armstrong does not look interested right now. I don't think he's going to get any minutes apart from like maybe 1 or 2. Villa are up there for the projected goals and clean sheet odds. Very good sign to hold your Villa guys this week. Maybe even purchase another, get to that 3. Both of Wolves' center backs are struggling with cramps, strains, and niggles. I feel it could be a big bomb like that Chelsea game against Wolves 6-2, because, you know, Villa, they attack very ruthlessly. 90 minutes, they're pushing on you, right? So I think end of the game, whoever's on, if it's a Rodgers, he could do pretty well. Fulham Newcastle, that looks like a tight game, maybe a little bit scrappy as well. And United, they've got a little edge over Palace in the projections, and this is another interesting matchup because both teams have progressed in the cup midweek, Eze with a goal and an assist, but obviously United smashed Barnsley, Ten Hag's biggest ever win as a Manchester United manager. I can say for sure that we're confident right now, but Palace, it's been a bogey place for us to play. You know, will it be a revenge of the 4-0 thrashing that we got last season at Selhurst Park, or is it just 4-0 round 2? I'm slightly leaning towards revenge, especially with Bruno fit for that game. Both teams projected over 1.5 goals, so bookies are backing both teams to score, and I would recommend keep your attackers from both of these teams. And if you're looking to invest in a United attacker, my one to watch is Amad Diallo at 5 million. Moving on to the FPL Premium discussion, what to do with Isak, what to do with Saka, what to do with Haaland, which premiums you should buy, hold, and avoid. Welcome to my Premium Matrix, which is something I built that's going to help you with your swapping of FPL premiums as the Game Week 6 fixture swing is almost here. Here are the decisions I'd recommend in terms of the popular FPL premiums. And look, I just want to put a little note here that this is heavily team dependent. Post your own detailed dilemmas in the comments section, and I'll give you my 2 cents on them if I can. Now, first, who should you be buying? As obvious goes, it's obviously Mo Salah with that Bournemouth fixture. He's the one to bring in this game week. he looks to be a top captain option at the moment, and he's got Wolves away in 6 decent fixtures. It's pretty decent, honestly. Watkins is also up there for me to buy this game week. He has had injury concerns, but Emery said the ice pack thing in the UCL, it was just a precaution. So the Wolves matchup, it just looks too good. If he gets 70 minutes, I think he can still return really nicely. And I know Isak has blanked against Wolves, but he put up 0.21 XG in just 45 minutes against Wolves away from home. That's pretty solid. Watkins, I think he can do serious damage against, two crampy, niggly center backs and a Wolves team that's going to be playing today midweek with major injury issues to some of their big players. Matchup wise, it looks pretty lovely, and he is a top captaincy option as well for game week 5. Spurs and Sonny were disappointing against Arsenal, but I like the matchup for Son. Brentford are playing a center back at right back. I can see Sonny exploiting that situation to return quite nicely this week. And I think this is catered towards more people who are, game week 6 wildcarders who are looking to bring in a midfield premium for a 1 week punt. But honestly, Watkins is ahead of Son right now for a 1 week punt in my mind. If you do have that situation going on, I would be going for Watkins instead at the moment. But let's see what Son does if he starts midweek. I do recommend selling Alexander Isak this week. I give him a 70% chance to start, but I think Fulham is a tough away game, and he's also got City in game week 6. Look, Eddie Howe, he's going to be playing mind games in the press conference this weekend with Isak. I won't believe a single word he says, because last season he's told us, oh, Gordon's out, and then Gordon started. So I won't be surprised to see the similar thing happen with Howe, and I don't really want any piece of that. So I do recommend selling Alexander Isak this week. I also think you should be selling Bukayo Saka if you are on a wildcard 6 strategy, as City away, it's a good exit point, and you can just hop back on your wildcard for Arsenal's prime fixtures: Leicester at home, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away. And look, he did pick up a little small knock, so even a 3 to 4% change in his performances, that can make the big difference in terms of return slash blank. He does play Thursday though, so I wouldn't rush to sell him yet. If he bags a brace in 60 and gets sub 65, perhaps your feelings will change on Saka, so be patient with him. Wait for both City and Arsenal to play in the UCL and watch out for any injuries to those two teams. Talking about City, let's move on to Haaland, who I think for sure is a hold this week, and the same with Palmer, but I wouldn't be buying either of them. Haaland has Arsenal this game week, which is a tough fixture for him. Even in his current form, I think he can return a goal, but if you don't own him this week, I wouldn't be looking to bring him in, because the next two fixtures, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, they're pretty tough, and these are the weeks that he should struggle. These are the weeks that Salah, no Haaland teams have been waiting for, so he should struggle. But the key word is should. Like would you be surprised if he smashed it? Absolutely not. And if you are on a wildcard 6, I would caution selling Haaland this week, because he is predicted to rise this week, going up from 15.2 million to 15.3. If you started with him at 15, you're going to need to find 0.3 million on your wildcard somewhere to get him back. And not many people have that kind of team value right now to afford that. So if you do sell him, make sure you can afford him back on your wildcard in Game Week 6. That's if you want him. On Palmer now, he hasn't looked to offer the goal threat expected of him in the past 2 weeks, and his average position is much deeper. 0 shots against Bournemouth, 0 penalty box touches. I would recommend monitoring his situation, then potentially jumping on him or off him in game week 6. Now for my personal recommendations. Let's start with my favorite 4 to go for this game week. If you're looking to sell a striker this week, I'd recommend Dominic Calvert-Lewin from a medium-term ownership perspective. 1 goal and 2 assists in the first 4 game weeks. He's on pens, and he's got decent expected minutes for a 5.9 million asset. His points per start is really great so far, and he's got a ton of nice fixtures coming up. He'll be somewhat frustrating to own, but the next couple, definitely some goals in there for him. At least I think so. 5.9 also, 5.9 million is a very nice entry point for him too. I think he'll rise up to 6 million soon enough. If you take a look at his touch map, everything, a lot of stuff pretty central, close to goal. And with Everton's fixtures, I do expect them to pick up some points. I know people want them to go down, but it's Deitch. He does it every season. He keeps them up every season. And that's the thing with Everton. If you're backing Calvert-Lewin, you think his form's being decent, you look at the other options. You got João Pedro, who's a doubt, Welbeck, who doesn't have pens, and 5.7, you think, okay, maybe his form's slowing down. You look at Delap, and he just got subbed at 58 minutes. So you could just kind of like, who am I going to go for? Vardy's a bit old. DCL is the one I would be recommending to go for this game week, and I think he's a pretty good option. If you're looking for a 1 week punt in the midfield, my gut says go Morgan Rogers this game week. He's really cheap, so you can get him pretty easily, and I think he's due a return or two. There's been a lot of Rogers talk about his points dodging, but I think, Wolves' matchup is really good. There's gold for Villa, and with Lamina struggling for fitness, I think Rogers can pick up some great positions in this game and do really well because he likes to drive with the ball going forward. If Lamina is cramping up late on, I expect Rogers to be a little bit more fresh. I know Rogers has played more minutes, but that's his kind of game. He's really good at driving with the ball at the center of the pitch. All he needs to do is put away a chance, and I think he will put away a chance or get an assist in the coming game week. And remember that this is a 1 week punt, right, for a wildcard 6 team. And Brighton, it just looks, if you look at it, it's like a little bit dangerous to punt on right now because they're playing Nottingham Forest. Liverpool attackers are a bit more expensive. And I just think that, Rogers, I suspect he's going to return this game week. And if he does return decently big, like 10 plus points, he could double rise in price. And it could just be an easy money move, which gets you an extra 0.1 on your wild card, which will be pretty valuable, to be honest, and it'll get you some more points as well. So he's the one I would go for if you're looking for a 1 week punt in the midfield. Now, if you're looking for a midfielder from a longer ownership perspective, Bowen is the one I'd recommend. Chelsea at home is the early kickoff, and I suspect that the game, it's just going to be goals galore. Bowen historically has been really, really good in the early kickoff, so the entrance point I think is really nice. He's produced 1 blank in the first 4 game weeks, and he's got 3 attacking returns. And look, Bowen is a nice, consistent asset. He takes over really nicely in his good patches. He doesn't have a lot of blanks, and his next 6 fixtures are really nice. And if you look at most fixture tickers, West Ham is actually close to top, if not top from game week 10 and beyond, I believe. So he's also West Ham captain as well, which I think has elevated his responsibility that he feels to really put that West Ham team on his back. And I just feel like everything bodes well for Bowen right now to have another great season. So if you're looking at a mid, anywhere from 6.5 to 8 million, if you can stretch up to the 7.5 million, I would get Bowen in because long term, he's a great pick. His minutes are great. He's going to create a lot of chances and he's going to score goals. And the thing is, historically, he's been a very consistent asset. And in his explosive patches, he could actually be a captaincy option. So I think overall, Bowen is one of my favorite midfielders right now in the game. I would be recommending him if you're looking to pick up a mid for the now and for the later. But that is a wrap on my Game Week 5 preview vid. If you enjoyed this one, then smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got any dilemmas, drop them down in the comment section and I'll try to help you out. I've got my weekly best captain vid dropping tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that one. And if you want to digest all the data from the Game Week 4 games, check out this one right here. Peace.